Alright, so the last time I was on here, I translated this little bit up in the corner. There we go. Hi! I was just trying to figure out how to get this comment screen to stay up. There it goes. Maybe. We'll see what happens when I click back on here. No, it went down again. Alright. So that's the issue. I can't have the screen up and actually type on here. That's okay. Yep, just you and me. That's okay. One thing that I forgot last time is this word versus up here, which means back again or again. And I was looking at the sentence and like, back again, where can I put that in? And then I thought about it sort of in the context of what was going on. So I figured I should give some context of what was going on in this passage. So Julius Caesar takes all of his soldiers and goes off to Britain for a quick scouting expedition. He's not planning to stay for very long. He has a bunch of issues trying to get his soldiers into Britain to start with, because they had to park their boats out sort of in the deep water, and it was hard for the soldiers to actually get out of the boats and into formation and stuff like that. But once they got on the shore, they fairly well conquered the Britons, and the Britons were like, we give up! And they sent hostages to Caesar so that Caesar would be able to kill them if the Britons misbehaved. And but then this great big storm came up, and the entire Roman fleet was wrecked. But the Romans hadn't brought anything to last them the winter. They didn't have any food, and now they didn't have any boats, and they couldn't get back out of Britain. And so the Britons had sort of retreated, but now they're coming back out of hiding because, well, the Roman fleet was destroyed. And so they didn't feel like they had to go back into hiding. So I'm going to actually put versus back into the sentence. I'll put it here. They once more began to leave the camp bit by bit and to lead their soldiers stealthily out of the fields. And I guess just every time I do that, I have to bring this, sorry, you can't see it, but right around here, there's a little window with all of what you're saying. So I'll try to keep that up as much as I can. So what I was going to do is do this next sentence, if at all possible. So last time I was talking about connecting words. We had itaque down up here, and so. And if you scroll down, you'll see itaque. Itaque. He loves itaque. But this sentence begins instead with ought. And ought means but, with one T. But, and then normally I would go and find my verb, but since we've got Caesar, like right here, staring us in the face in the nominative, I'm just going to say Caesar. But Caesar, there we go, and then some stuff. Et si means even if, so we know that's beginning a clause. So we can put that in parentheses. Et si to the verb is a clause, so we can skip over that. Here's our next verb, intermiserant, but that is in this relative clause with the quod here. Well, it's not a relative clause, it's just a subordinate clause. This is quod because, not quod which. And so we've only got one verb left, which is suspicibatur, which is to suspect. It's in the imperfect tense, so it's a past tense, but it's an imperfected past tense. I'm going to go ahead and try to translate this as an inceptive. Caesar began to suspect. That sounds good. All right. And tamen, there we go. Nevertheless, that's good to use in conjunction with ought. But Caesar, nevertheless, began to suspect. And then we're going to, this is a thinking verb, so we're going to go into indirect statement. We've got the infinitive fore here. This is the common form of futurus esse, which is the future active participle. Not participle, infinitive. So we're looking for the infinitive indirect statement, so fore is going to be it. And it is going to be the subject. So began to suspect that that id would come about, and id is modified by this relative clause here, that which happened would come about. Sounds a little weird, but it's basically saying Caesar began to suspect that which actually happened would happen before it happened. Because we're talking about all of this in the past tense. So that's our basic sentence. And we've got all of this extra hanging around up there. And we've got et, which means both and after each et is an x. So he began to suspect from, so if you suspect something from a piece of information, it's probably because of. So we can go ahead and add, he began to suspect it because of x and because of y, and x is going to be both because of the owentu. X takes the ablative, owentu is ablative, and so because of the disaster, that's an owentus. Navium suarum is genitive, so that's going to be of because of the disaster of his ships, and because of eo, because of this, and that's going to be described by this substantive clause here. By this, we can almost put a semicolon here, or not a semicolon, just a regular colon. And also because of this, that intermiserant is our verb. They stopped. And they stopped doing what? They stopped giving hostages. Obsides. Hostages. There we go. Alright, so because of the disaster of the ships and because of the fact that the Britons stopped giving him hostages, he began to suspect that what actually happened was about to happen. And then we've taken care of all of that. We've taken care of that. So the only thing we've got left to translate is this etsi clause. But Caesar, even if, and then our verb, cognoerat, he had not gotten to know, known had not yet gotten to know. Gotten to know what? The plan of them. So their plans. Gotten to know their plans. There we go. And we've got something that almost sounds like a human sentence. But Caesar, even if he had not yet gotten to know their plans, nevertheless began to suspect that which happened would come about because of the disaster of his ships and because of this, that they stopped giving hostages. Yay. Does that make any sense in English? Hopefully. I'm going to open this. Yeah, exactly. He says, well, my ships have all been destroyed. And the Britons gave me half of their hostages before and said, we'll get the other half of the hostages at last this. Yeah, that makes sense. That would sound a lot better. Because of the fact that, we can put that in. I don't need two that's. There we go. Because of the fact that they stopped giving hostages. That sounds a lot better in English. Thank you. Good comment. So yeah, Caesar was sitting there saying, "Well, they stopped giving the hostages that they promised that they were going to give me, and I just lost my entire fleet. So if I were in the Britain shoes, I would probably be planning something." So Caesar didn't know that they were planning something, which we just learned in the last sentence that they were. Um, uh, he doesn't know what they're planning, but he figures that they're probably planning something. And presumably in the next sentence, he'll start to do something about it. Because, we know that Caesar wins the war in Britain. Spoiler alert. He actually wins 2 wars in Britain. But there might have been some bumps along the way. But we know that everything's going to end up all right for Caesar in the end. Especially because he wrote this. So he likes to make himself look good. Anyway, I said that I was going to try to show a video, but I want to explain why I'm showing the video first, because it's funny, but it's really only funny if you've studied Latin. Um, um, so it's this television show, Rev. It's on Hulu, and I've been watching it because it's on Hulu and it's free. But it's also pretty funny. BBC shows are all generally, well, BBC comedies at least. I like watching those. I love Black Books, and, well, mostly Black Books. And My Hero. I love those. Anyway. um, but it's, this character is a priest, but he's not a particularly effective one. He's sort of a buffoon type character. But on the other hand, there are other characters around him that are even more buffoonish. But in any case, he's got some head honcho up in the church coming to talk to him because of a situation that he's gotten himself into. And he gives him this Latin motto as inspiration. And he said, Gloriam praecadit, except he pronounces it weird because he's pronouncing it in church Latin. Humilitas. And it's funny because humilitas is nominative, which means that it's the subject of the sentence. Praecadit is the verb. It's sitting there in the middle. And gloriam with this am is the accusative, which means it's the direct object. Are you clear on subject and direct object, or do I need to go through and explain those? I can. It's not that bad. Subjects are the things doing the action. So if I said the dog chases the cat, right? We can tell in an English sentence what's the subject and what's the object based on the position in the sentence. So we know that the dog is doing the chasing because the dog comes first in the sentence. If we said the cat chases the dog, we would have suddenly a different sentence because now the cat is doing the chasing and dog is the one being chased. Right? Sensible? So the cat is the subject, the dog is the direct object. In Latin, word order doesn't matter. You have to look at the endings to figure out what is doing the praecaditing and what is being praecadited, because praecadit is our verb. So humilitas is the nominative, so that's going to be the subject. That's going to be the cat. And praecadit is going to be the verb, chases, and gloriam, since that's got the accusative ending, is going to be here in the direct object spot. So humilitas is humility. Humility follows, or not follows, precedes, just like in English. Or comes before, that's a good one. Comes before what? Can you guess what gloriam is? It's glory, yeah. So humility comes before glory. And at this point I'm going to try to figure out whether it'll actually let me show you a video. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, it's coming up on... Anyway, here's the little clip.
Gloria preceded humilitas. Yes. Glory before humility. Well, before glory goes humility. Oh, yes.
Alright, well, that was it. Um, so he heard Gloriam praecedit humilitas, and he says, Glory comes before humility. Not recognizing that gloriam is in the accusative and humilitas is in the nominative, and that word order doesn't matter in Latin. So it's funny because he's supposed to be a priest and he's supposed to know Latin, but he obviously has no clue what he's talking about. I thought it was funny. Anyway, I'll get rid of all this stuff because it's not Caesar. Anyway, well, that was all I really wanted to do with this one. Show that video and uh, see if I could figure out how to get this chat window to stay up. I still can't. There's probably some sort of setting that I have to set that'll keep it on top of the other windows, even if I'm typing in them. But I'll figure that out at some point. Well, thank you for watching and listening and helping and commenting. Anyway, I'll talk to you in the other screen. Bye.